Peace. This is Aaron. Peace for healers. Gonna do a video, a follow up from the earlier post that I did on IG for 3 minutes with the fairies. Um, the fairies had more to be said, and it was more than 3 minutes. And I'm coming to do it here on YouTube because it's a little bit easier. And I'm trying to go live on YouTube. I need people to follow me so that I can go live because I don't have enough people to do so yet. So this would be live if I could do um, live posts, but unfortunately I can't. So here we are. But anyway, I pulled a card from the from Street Priestess Tropic Fairy tarot deck, and it's an interesting pull, and it's also just a pull that for in an arena that I honestly don't really like to get into in readings. And I think most of you know by now I'm not really a fan of doing relationship readings, romantic relationship readings, or things of that type because so many individuals are frequently focused on the wrong aspect of themselves, focused on the wrong aspect of relationships, focusing on the woo woo things like twin flames and soulmates. And I've said it many times, and I still stick to the fact that you have to have self love before you can have any expectation of any of those things. So I commonly find that in doing a reading, a person may ask about if a person they're in a relationship with is their soulmate or is their twin flame, or if they're the one that the relationship's going to go perfectly and marry, or when am I going to find my true love? When am I going to find my soulmate? And honestly, if you focus on yourself, everything else will fall into place. The bottom line is two things. You have to focus on yourself and practice self love. You have to put yourself in a position of joy, in a position of happiness. A partner should not be what makes your happiness. A partner should be an enhancement to your happiness. Um, and I just, I can't emphasize enough. Self love is where all this comes in at. You'll attract what you are if you're being having strength and self love to yourself. You'll more easily attract someone that will love you and love you for you and love you because of what the two of you are together. You may attract your soulmate. Twin flames, honestly, I don't know if people really understand what twin flames are, but a twin flame relationship, from where I stand, is not necessarily a fun relationship to be in. At times it will be, but a true twin flame relationship, usually you're butting heads to a degree because you're so opposite of each other. And that concept of opposites attract doesn't necessarily apply to twin flames. So, and I'll just say this now. Anyone that's watching this video, if I do a reading for you, don't ask me about twin flames and don't ask me about soulmates until you look and understand what a twin flame is or what a soulmate is. And then the next question I'm going to ask you after you ask that is, what are you doing regarding having self love for yourself in order to attract what it is that you're looking for? So I just wanted to put that in there. So I the whole point of what I want to get to it here, and in dealing with the fairies, I absolutely love the fairies. I love dealing with the fairies. The fairies are, for me, and again, I can't speak for anyone else but me. For me, the fairies are joyful, and even in times when I get something and it's not something that I necessarily want or something that I necessarily want to deliver, I'll still get it. Go ahead, and I'll get it. Go ahead with laughter. For me, the fairies are just about always laughing and always bringing joy to me in just about every situation. So I saw the Tropic Fairy tarot deck on Street Priestesses Etsy shop, and I when I saw that, and for those of you who don't know, I love non-traditional decks. I love decks that are Solani oriented. Um, I love decks that are basically not necessarily typical. I have a lot of common decks. I have a lot of unique or more unique decks. I saw the deck on her Etsy, and I said I have to get that deck. And there's a couple other decks on her Etsy that I absolutely have to have as part of my collection. Um, and just in seeing the deck, I said this is a deck that I have to have. You don't usually see a lot with Black Fairies, so because you don't, that deck stood out to me. I didn't even look at the the orientation of the deck. I only looked at the fact that it was a fairy deck, and the deck is designed more so for relationships. And I get nudges to pull from the deck, and I absolutely love the deck. This pull that I did today was the first pull regarding just outright connected to relationships and and love and going into relationships. And honestly, the fairies were easing me into to doing what I don't particularly care to do. But I'll be in alignment, and I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do in alignment. Um, but the cards that well, it was one card that was pulled, and there was a card on the bottom of the deck. The card that was pulled was Admirer, and it's for that card. It says someone is interested in getting to know you on a romantic level. They want to show you that they care about your well-being. That's the card that I pulled, and that's a that's a card that is actually okay that I don't mind pulling, but it also opens the door up to 50,000 things in a reading. The card that was on the bottom of the deck, and for me, the card on the bottom of the deck is usually a clarifier. The card on the bottom of the deck is Union. And I'm just going to read what it says for that card. Coming together in a committed partnership is the foundation of expansion and legacy. Union. Union can be a committed relationship. Union can be marriage. Union can be whatever the two individuals within the scope of that connection look at it as. The whole point of, and I'm going to pull another card just for for this video, just as a follow up to what came up in those two cards. But the main thing of what came up there was you have to have self love. Self love, self love, self love, self love, self love. I can't say it enough. If you have the self love, it opens up the door for so many other things. If you're coming out of a relationship, have the self love and move forward. Clear the space and clear the desire and the pain that existed from that previous relationship. And no matter how bad a relationship may have been, there's still good points to the relationship, unless you were just totally blind to a whole lot. Pull one card right. It's another one I'm going to pull. So you have to. And here they did it to me again. Um, two more cards popped out as I get laughter in the background. I'm gonna start telling you guys doing videos maybe and talking about what's going on in the background from my spirit team, and because I don't think I hear many people talk about what's going on in the background in the midst of a reading, a live, or whatever regarding the spirit team. Um, so you have to clear the space of the pain, and again, as I always say, it's totally fine to be human. If you're coming out of a relationship and it hurt, it's okay for it to hurt. Just don't stay there. The longer you stay there, the more difficult you'll make it for the next relationship to come along. You clear that space, sweep that space out, fill it with self love, and true love can come in. For those of you that are hanging on to that relationship that you know is dead and should be gone, let it go. Unless you're going to be in a poly relationship, which poly doesn't even really apply, but that's the closest thing to put to it. Then we're going to come back around to poly too, if there's time. Um, but I may do a video on a separate video on poly. In fact, if you guys want a video on poly, just put it in the comments that you want a video with just in regards to poly relationships, because that's well, let's just move on. You have to clear the space. If it's not for you and you're not clearing the space, you're putting yourself in a position of being in multiple relationships. If you're poly and you want to be in multiple relationships, that's fine, but that's not quite what poly is. But you literally you want to clear that space so it can be filled. The the focus can't be desperation for being in a relationship. There's nothing wrong with not being in a relationship. And sometimes when you're over focused on being in a relationship, when you're over focused on having a partner, that actually pushes away. You want to attract. When you're over focused, it pushes it away. And you don't want to push it away, you want to attract. And a lot of times, I find sometimes in readings, people aren't even necessarily aware of how desperate they are to be in a relationship, are desperate to be in a relationship and find that one that they think is their twin flame, which probably is not, again, what they think it is. Probably desperate to be in a relationship of having a soulmate, or being in a relationship where that's going to be my partner for life and we're going to be so happy and love each other. It's nice to be in a position of having that partner for life, but even a partner for life, partner for life still may not be a partner for life. There's a whole lot of y'all over the last few months as things are opening up and things that were changing and are changing that have found out that your partner for life wasn't really a partner for life. But part of what I just want to note here is the desperation. You don't want to have the desperation. And sometimes people aren't even aware that there's a level of desperation. And just as an example, and I never go into specifics with anyone's reading or never give names with anyone's reading, but I did a reading, I did 3 readings for the same person over the course of the last few years. At each one of those readings, this person asked a relationship oriented question. The first time, I think it was asking if that person was their twin flame. And she didn't even know what a twin flame really was. The second time, she asked when she was going to meet her her twin flame or when she was going to be in a relationship. I nicely asked her, "Did you ever look at what a twin flame was?" Obviously, she had not. Um, and then she said, "Well, what about a soulmate? Or what about just someone to be in a relationship with?" That's uh, that's desperation. And again, there's nothing wrong with wanting. There's nothing wrong with stating what you want, but don't be desperate for it. Reading number 3 comes around. And reading number 3, I'm basically thinking to myself, okay, is this going to be a reading where the entire reading is going to be focused on something that I don't want to get into because you don't have enough self love? And we got into the reading. We covered quite a bit of ground in her reading. As always, the concept of self love came up within her reading. And after we got through everything with self love, the next question that she asked is about somebody that she met. And if that person was the person for them, and if not, when was that person going to be here? Which I thought that was I didn't think that was a good question to be asking. And I said to her, you know, you always ask questions like this every time we we connect. And I've I've gotten a lot nicer and a lot more diplomatic in how I say things because years and years ago, my response would probably would have been a bit more harsh. And my responses in the past, before I've grown into who I am today, are I did a reading for a friend of someone, and the reading ended up being it was a relationship reading, and the person that referred her to me had talked about it with her, but they didn't really get to talk in detail. And she came back to me and said, "I hope you were nice because of the relationship issue." And when she said that, I know that at times I could have been harsh with words, but when she said that, I realized, wow, was I that bad? Was I that blunt in saying things? And trust me, if my response to you calls for bluntness, I'm going to be blunt. If your guides are telling my guides be blunt, hammer this person, I'm going to give it to you. But any other time, there's going to be diplomacy, love, and tact. And even if I hammer you, the hammering that you get is going to be based on it's all in love. And when I say hammer, it's not where I'm going to hammer you to the point of just you're feeling bad because of what you said. It's going to be hammering, as in hammering in the naivete of what you may be thinking of. Um, which that's one of the three cards that I pulled while I was talking here. Um, so what you basically the person said, "I asked you that before," and she's so focused on it that she doesn't even realize the level of desperation that she has or has, however you want to put it. And that's how too many people are. Don't have that desperation. Love yourself and allow everything else to fall into place. And I mentioned it earlier, but I just want to say this again, and I'm going to get into these other cards quick. Time really gets away when I start talking. When you have an admirer, you have to have space. Again, if you have an admirer and it starts with an admirer and grows into the beginnings of a relationship, a full blown relationship, and even marriage or absolute commitment, even though you may start with this, realistically, it may not end up here. And if it doesn't end up here, that's okay. You have to be okay with that. And you have to be realistic as far as how you approach that. Sometimes when you have a relationship with someone, it's just meant to be enjoyed. Every time you're in a relationship, you should be learning something. If you're in a relationship, you should not be repeating the same cycle over and over again with the same person, just in a different meat suit. Learn something, gain something. Every time you go into a relationship that's bad, you need to ask yourself, okay, what's the lesson in this relationship? What have I learned? And when you're going into a new relationship, you should be evaluating what are the things here with this person that are the same as all of these other failed relationships? What's the same with this person that was favorable in all of the good relationships and even the bad relationships as well? So you can find that common thread. Because all of those things, they go together to make you more able to immediately meet someone at some point and say, oh no, this relationship will not work. And maybe if not instantly, if you use your intuition though, you may get an instant. But after spending time with a person, you should have some idea. Again, if you're not desperate, you'll have an honest to goodness idea of if it's a relationship just to enjoy yourself or if it's a relationship that's going to be a permanent and all time love. So I want to get into these cards and wrap this up because I've been talking longer. I'm amazed at how much I talk now. The first card of the ones that I pulled here, it's naive. For naive, it says it's common for inexperienced individuals to need help with patience. It is important to focus on practicality and develop proficiency through consistent practice. Be realistic. Ask the questions. You have to ask the questions in a relationship. You can't just expect the person that's opposite you in a relationship to come out and tell you every single thing. And when you ask the question, you want to look at how they're responding to your question. You want to feel how they're responding to your question. Are they uncomfortable? Are they stumbling over their words? Are they actually even answering the question? don't be naive and just accept the one-dimensional aspect of what they're saying. And one of the big things that I find a lot of women don't ask, especially this goes out to men and women, but I mean primarily when we're talking about this, it's women that this issue is discussed. A lot of times, a woman does not ask a man if he's married. A lot of times, a woman does not ask if a man is in and pay attention to if a man is really in a relationship. And a man can still be married and not in a relationship with his wife, but he's still married. If you never ask, the odds are you're not going to get an answer. Um, so ask the questions and pay attention to everything that goes along with the question. The other two cards, I'm gonna we're gonna come back to the right card because I think that one's very significant. The second card, or that came out, well, this card and Naive came out together. Right came out first from this video. Clutter. Eliminate the mental clutter that is overwhelming your thoughts and causing distractions to regain your focus. Again, clear the clutter, sweep out that clutter, gain the self love, let go of the pain, release the pain, and that allows you to make space for the love of your life. And then the most important card of these three and the message that goes with it, right. The artwork on these cards is so amazing. But for the right card, it says writing is a great way to express yourself and sort out your thoughts. Please keep a journal to help with reflection. Writing is one of the best ways to put things out there, to put things out there to the universe, to put things out there for yourself. I I'll be perfectly honest. I've said this before. I'm not a fan of journaling, but I do it. Journaling is important because it allows you to document things that you may not remember. It allows you to put things out to the universe that are important. It allows you to put things out to the universe that you're trying to manifest. It allows you to express to spirit the fact that you may be lonely, the fact that you want to be in a relationship, the fact that what you desire is not within your scope at that moment. You put it out there. You have to tell and speak and say what it is that you want. Some of y'all aren't in relationships because you're not putting yourself in the position to be in one, but you're also not speaking up on what it is that you want, and you're also not clear in what it is that you want. Write in detail what you want to manifest in a relationship, what the person looks like, what the person does, how you want to be treated. You you put it all down, and when you put that all down, you don't want to settle because one of the things that's frequently forgotten is the universe, your spirit team. They want to see you happy. They want to see you gain and have everything it is that you desire, whether it be financial abundance, abundance of love, abundance of friends, abundance of happiness. Uh, the universe wants to see you have it all. But You want to put it down on paper. You want to make sure the universe understands what you want. Because if you don't make what you want clear to the universe, it's not going to be clear. And a lot of times when the universe works, the universe will work precisely. And you don't want to put yourself in a position of just leaving it vague. If you put out to the universe, I just want a man. I'm not even going to say anything else on that. But put it down on paper. Don't just print. Write in cursive. If you don't know how to write in cursive because you came up in these later years when they stopped, learn how to write in cursive. You can go online and learn how to write in cursive. You can get a book and learn how to write in cursive. But write in cursive because that's more unique to you and more unique to your energy. It's a flowing energy when you write in cursive. So write it all down, specify. Also, don't just do it for a partner, do it for yourself. Write the things that you love about yourself. Write them down. And really, you should be every day getting in the mirror saying how much you love yourself and how wonderful you are, complimenting yourself. Once a week, or eat once a day, once a week, eh, once a month if you can't bring yourself to do it, but at least once a week. Write down in your journal things that you love about yourself and have gratitude for those things. Tie that in. It's important. So, again, this message is brought to you by the Fairies. I don't like to be the angry old granddad, dad, or whatever you want to call it. Call me. I don't want to be abrasive. Everything I say is said with love. Be glad you know me now and didn't know me 10 years ago when I would have told you what you were doing was a really bad idea with no tact. And there's people that could probably tell you some of the things that I've said. Um, these are the cards coming from the Tropic Fairy deck, Street Priestess Tarot. This message was longer than intended or expected, but much love to you. I do love you. Make sure you love yourself more. Express love to yourself. Show love to yourself. Be loving to yourself. The more you do that for yourself, the more you'll magnetize it to come into you. Peace.